Well, Trace, something a little bit different tonight. We have I reckon the country music is a broad church, and there's all these little parts come into it. And a little bit of blues tonight. We're going to catch up with a band called the New Savages, and Milan joins us now, and we're going to find out a little bit about them. Milan, thanks for joining us tonight, and I think it's fair to say that there's a really interesting sound you guys have developed.
Oh, thank you very much. We are a blues band, but I do love country music.
We were just talking about blues, and like the Gympie Muster has just been held up here, and a huge attraction up there is the blues tent, and it has been that way for many years. And this year, everything and all the reports coming out of the Gympie Muster is the blues was massive this year, and it just keeps growing and growing. And particularly we're on the Sunshine Coast up here in Queensland, and we have like a blues destination train that comes up to the Sunshine Coast, so it's quite big in our area, and it seems to be getting bigger. Are you finding that down there in Melbourne?
I mean, I've been touring around the country past 2 years pretty much flat out, and I'm pretty surprised by how many people are really into blues, because when I was growing up, I thought I was the only person. None of my friends were into it, so I thought I'm just this weirdo who loves all this really old blues stuff. And now that I'm performing around, I'm like, there's people coming around like, I can see your influences are like Skip James and John Lee Hooker, and they're like, I know, I'm like, oh, great. It's really nice to see. It's not a dying art. It's still got its place, which is great.
Milan, when I was listening to your music earlier on, I had a bit of a listen there, and I thought I can hear and feel some Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, and also some Jim Morrison and the Doors in there. Obviously, there's some influences there.
Well, to be honest with you, both of those artists I admire a lot. My biggest influences are really 20s and 30s blues recordings from old guys like Son House, Skip James, Blind Willie Johnson, really old guys, from the 20s and 30s. I'm influenced by a lot of artists. Johnny Cash is another big one of mine, but Jim Morrison and the Doors definitely a big one, and I do appreciate the Nick Cave comparison. Thank you very much.
We're talking to Milan from the New Savages, a blues band, and finding out a little bit about them and their music. It's interesting you talk about all the old music. A few years ago, Tracy and I did a little bit of a Roots special and having a look at it, and we featured Leadbelly.
Oh yeah, Leadbelly. I worship that man. Very, very important influence on me. Just love him.
And look, it's one of those things that, you've heard this music, and it would be great that when people hear your music and a little bit about it, they go back and listen to some of the traditional stuff that it comes from as well.
That's exactly what I'd love for people to do. I kind of look at my role, what I'd like to be as a songwriter and performer is to also show people all this old music that they might not be aware of, because I think it's amazing. Like Leadbelly, I think that music is going to live on forever. I don't see it dying.
Particularly when there's guys like you putting your touch on the music as well.
Thank you.
Before we let you go, I'm going to urge people to get along to your website, because when I was growing up, our first video game was Pong. We played on Pong.
You played the Pong game, did you?
Yeah, so I had to check that out, and I got to tell you, folks, get along for the New Savages, and while you're listening to their music on the website, have a go at their little tennis paddle game, and don't look like...
I created that myself. I'm a programmer by day, so I thought I'd make something a little cheeky, a little game.
Absolutely beautiful. Now, if people want to find out a little bit more about you and when you're touring and when they can find out about your music, what's the best way for them to keep in touch with the New Savages?
Go on thenewsavages.com or go on facebook.com/thenewsavages, or if you just type in the New Savages into Google or YouTube, you can check out our music videos. We're on Spotify. All the records are available to stream for free, and they're on the website for free. You can check them out there and watch all our music videos, play the Pong game. Newsavages.com is probably the best.
And there's no excuse not to be supporting yet another Australian artist.
Thank you.
It's great to catch up with you, Milan. This is the New Savages, and I've lost my little girl.
But I've lost my